Los Angeles, the city of angels and of unpredictable nights. On an otherwise quiet Friday evening, a routine noise complaint in a south-central neighborhood spiraled into one of the most shocking police confrontations ever captured on body cam. What began as a simple call for disturbance would turn into a full-blown street brawl between a single, muscle-bound man and 8 responding officers, an encounter that left bystanders terrified, officers injured, and the suspect in handcuffs, somehow still standing. It started around 9:20 p.m. when dispatchers received multiple calls from residents near Avalon Boulevard and 62nd Street. Neighbors reported loud yelling, crashing sounds, and what one caller described as someone flipping cars. The responding unit, 2 patrol officers from LAPD's Southeast Division, rolled up expecting a domestic disturbance or maybe an intoxicated suspect. What they found instead was a man built like a professional bodybuilder, shirtless, pacing in the middle of the street, muscles tensed, shouting at parked cars as though daring them to move. Later identified as Marcus Dean, a 32-year-old former amateur MMA fighter, he had a reputation in the area, known for his strength, but also for short temper and run-ins with the law. As the first officers approached, they immediately noticed something off. His pupils were dilated, his breathing erratic. One officer muttered under his breath, "He's juiced up or something." Moments later, backup was requested. Bodycam footage later released shows Marcus standing in the middle of the road, flexing his arms and shouting incoherently. Officer Ramirez steps forward, hand raised in a non-threatening gesture, saying, "Marcus, let's calm down, man. Step back to the sidewalk." Instead of complying, Marcus smirks and yells, "You think you can stop me?" In the footage, he suddenly slaps the hood of the patrol car, denting it with a single hit. Ramirez backs up, radioing for urgent assistance. Within minutes, 3 more patrol units arrive, bringing the total to 8 officers. Flashing red and blue lights paint the street, sirens wail, and tension builds. Neighbors record from porches. A few shout warnings. "He's crazy strong." The officers form a half circle, giving commands. "Get on the ground now," one yells. Marcus just stands there, breathing heavy, fists clenched, eyes locked on the nearest cop. For a few seconds, silence hangs. Then he charges. The impact is immediate and violent. Officer Lewis, the first in line, is hit like a truck, knocked backward onto the asphalt. 2 others move in with batons, striking Marcus's arms and torso, but he barely flinches. His adrenaline is through the roof. His pain response nearly zero. He grabs one baton mid-swing and hurls it across the street. A 4th officer deploys his taser. Sparks fly, but Marcus rips the probe from his chest and keeps coming. The body cam captures the chaos, shouting, heavy breathing, and the metallic clang of gear hitting pavement. Backup sirens echo as more units race toward the scene. The 8 officers now form a defensive perimeter. Marcus is circling them like a predator, shirt torn, sweat glistening under streetlights. He roars, "You'll have to kill me." Ramirez, bleeding from the lip, calls for non-lethal munitions, beanbag rounds. 2 officers from the arriving tactical team load their shotguns and fire. The first round hits Marcus square in the chest. He stumbles but doesn't fall. The second hits his thigh, finally slowing him. He staggers, arms trembling, but instead of surrendering, he lunges again, tackling an officer into a parked car. They crash hard, shattering the side mirror. 3 more cops pile on, trying to restrain him. It takes a total of 6 officers just to pin his arms long enough for cuffs. Even then, he continues thrashing, muscles bulging, veins prominent, grunting in rage and confusion. The camera footage shows the raw struggle. Officers shouting, "Stop resisting," as they wrestle him face down on the asphalt. After nearly 4 minutes of intense physical struggle, Marcus finally collapses under the combined weight of 8 officers. His breathing is labored, his skin flushed bright red. One officer, panting heavily, double-locks the handcuffs. Another checks for injuries. Despite his aggressive behavior, Marcus sustained only minor bruises, an incredible display of physical endurance that shocked everyone present. Paramedics arrived moments later to assess him. A toxicology test later revealed traces of methamphetamine and anabolic steroids, a dangerous combination known to cause violent outbursts, delusions of strength, and near immunity to pain. Officer Lewis suffered a fractured wrist. Another officer required stitches for a head wound. Yet miraculously, no lives were lost. Marcus Dean was transported to County General Hospital for observation under police custody. The footage went viral almost immediately. 8 cops versus 1 man, a surreal display of human power and adrenaline. On social media, opinion split. Some called Marcus a monster. Others saw a tragic case of mental and substance abuse. LAPD released an official statement emphasizing restraint. No lethal force was used despite the extreme threat. Chief Morales later commented, "It's a miracle no one died that night. Not him, not our officers." In the weeks that followed, investigators dug deeper into Marcus's background. Once a promising MMA fighter, he had fallen into depression after a career-ending shoulder injury. Friends said he began self-medicating with painkillers, then steroids, eventually turning to meth. What the cameras captured that night wasn't just a fight. It was a collision between addiction, rage, and law enforcement under pressure. Today, Marcus Dean faces multiple charges, including assault on a police officer and resisting arrest. Yet, in a strange twist, his case has sparked renewed discussion about the intersection of mental health and substance abuse within law enforcement encounters. Experts describe the event as a textbook case of excited delirium, a state where adrenaline and drugs drive the body beyond normal human limits. Watching the footage frame by frame, one thing becomes clear: no one truly won that night. 8 officers left bruised and shaken. 1 man left in cuffs, physically unbroken but mentally shattered. The quiet neighborhood on Avalon Boulevard will remember that evening for years. The night when sirens screamed, lights flashed, and a single man took on 8 cops and lived to tell the tale. In the weeks after the confrontation on Avalon Boulevard, the LAPD's Internal Affairs Division conducted a full tactical review of the incident. Each of the 8 officers involved was interviewed separately, their body cam footage synchronized and analyzed frame by frame. The report would later show that their decision to use restraint instead of lethal force wasn't just professional. It was remarkable. The sequence of escalating commands, the multiple verbal warnings, and the eventual deployment of non-lethal rounds all followed exact departmental protocol. What struck reviewers most, however, was the sheer endurance of Marcus Dean, a man whose physical condition bordered on inhuman that night. Toxicologists described his blood chemistry as a perfect storm of methamphetamine, testosterone boosters, and synthetic stimulants, each one amplifying aggression and numbing pain receptors. The footage of him ripping the taser probes from his chest became a grim visual study for police training programs nationwide. Local news crews flooded the scene the next morning. Reporters broadcast live from behind the yellow tape, replaying the shaky cell phone footage that neighbors had captured. Viewers across Los Angeles were stunned. A single man overpowering multiple trained officers was something out of an action movie. Talk shows debated whether the police should have drawn firearms earlier, while community advocates praised the officers for keeping their cool. A week later, LAPD Chief Morales held a press briefing in front of headquarters, stating, "This incident demonstrates both the unpredictability of drug-fueled behavior and the courage of officers who face it head-on." Behind the cameras, though, some officers admitted they were still shaken. One, identified only as Officer Lewis, later told internal investigators, "I've been in fights before, but I've never felt power like that. It was like trying to hold down a bull." Outside the courthouse, reporters crowded around Detective Harris, asking if the department believed the officers had been in danger. Harris responded simply, "Every call is unpredictable. That night could have gone bad in 100 different ways. We're just lucky everyone walked away alive." The video continued to circulate online, reaching millions of views. Some saw it as proof of excessive police restraint, others as a terrifying reminder of what drugs can do to the human body. Training academies across California began incorporating segments of the footage into their simulation courses,